Now, for more on China's rental housing market, I'm joined by Jing, live from Hong Kong. He's assistant professor of the Department of Geography and Resource Management at Chinese University of Hong Kong. So we know that the government wants to speed up development of the rental market in some of these growing cities. What's driving this demand for rental properties?
Well, I think because China is now moving towards a middle high income status, when an economy is moving from the middle income to the high income status, basically its home ownership tend to decrease while its rental market is to expand. So this is the main reason or the driving forces of such expansion.
Now, depending on which tier city you're in, is it more of a renter's market or a buyer's market in China at the moment?
Well, I would say that for the first tier cities where the market is already, the capacity is already abundant, basically new migrants will seek more opportunities to work and live, and basically the rental market could be a choice.
Now, one thing that's a concern is this issue of irregularities and regulations when it comes to China's rental market. What's being done to address that?
Well, I would first see it as a baby of the nascent market, as the current capacity of rental market is still not that substantial. However, as the market capacity increases, more real estate agents and professionals will be involved. They will be more familiar as well as engaged in the work, so that the market irregularities will gradually disappear.
And so how well protected do you think tenants' rights are at the moment in the rental market?
Well, I think a fixed contract with negotiable conditions upon renewal is one of the main rights that is called for the tenants. Currently, some of the contracts are not that fixed, and in terms of the rent, it can be adjustable upon one side only. So this is not a good condition for the time being. However, I would expect it to change in the future.
So given some of these challenges, what kind of policies should be adopted to really help boost the rental market?
Well, I think it refers to whether it's private rental market, or public rental market. If it is about private rental market, then basically the government is targeting at middle to low income groups to assist them to get on this rental ladder. Basically, different types of housing subsidies, such as cash subsidy, rent subsidy, and housing vouchers could be promoted. If we're talking about public rental sector, basically focused on those low or lowest low income groups, then the government should coordinate with real estate developers to reserve part or a proportion of their land to be specifically developed for public rental uses.
Now, obviously, we always tend to hear a lot about China's hot property market, and we know that the government has taken steps to try and cool it. So how might growth in the rental sector then affect the overall property market?
Well, I would see the effect as marginal, if not minimal, because in major Chinese cities, land is always a constraint for urban residential purposes. If you develop too much rental housing, it means that the land for residential or these commercial purposes actually will decline. In fact, I would not exaggerate the impact of a rental sector on housing prices, because the main objective of rental market is to target at helping those basically middle to low income groups to get on the housing ladder, besides its rental at first. There are other effective ways which prove to be effective in curbing housing prices from going up too fast in China, such as home purchase restriction.
Well, thank you so much for your insights, Jing, assistant professor at the Department of Geography and Resource Management at Chinese University of Hong Kong.